Thank you very much, and I hope you are enjoying the tournament and enjoy every minute of the game. And now we are coming to the end of the tournament, and I believe that so far so good, and we believe that the best is coming out from the African teams. You know, there is the word they call planning. Once you are able to plan, you predict, you learn from previous events, you learn from previous championships. And once you are able to now have that in perspective, you'll be able to now put things in place, make sure that you have various options. And that is exactly what we did, being able to now plan properly. There's no way you'll be able to now plan and then you execute, implement 100%. You must be able to now give room for, some incidentals or things might come up. It's not been quite easy, especially, it's not about funds alone, it's about some things coming up. You have a brand new car, and then all of a sudden you feel everything is fine. It stops on the road, what happens? So you must be able to now have options. And we're able to have options along the line. And that is why you find out that a lot of people didn't know that option A didn't work, and we now swapped option B. And that is why you look at the whole thing and see the perfection in it. You see, when you say the Nigerian teams didn't do well, you have to look at from perspective of planning. You have to look at it from the various support they are getting. You know, when you look at other countries, look at Egypt, look at Ghana, and you look at the level of funding, and you look at preparedness right from the very beginning, you cannot compare it to some people who hardly could even find themselves to this place. So, and most of them, you find out that some of these clubs, you find out that they are more or less like their national team. Team A and Team B coming. But in Nigeria, it's not the same thing. Nigeria is purely the core and then the breed of the players from various districts. There are many national players in this country that are not in the team. They didn't come for this tournament because they are not members of the club. So it wasn't easy, but so far, so good. We know where we are going. And even if we are crawling now, we will definitely end up hitting the ground running immediately. Because we can say we are not satisfied, we are not happy with the results, but at the same time, we have to look at the performance of the team, and it's not really a good thing, but so far, we are putting everything in place to be able to now make sure that we are able to be where Nigeria should be on the map of hockey in Africa. I will tell you that there are instances where we have championships from the states. The states come in here, the teams come in without even a kobo. How do you expect them to perform? Let us even start from government. Government has a lot of responsibilities, and that is why the federation comes in. Private sector comes in. You can see there was an award for yesterday, or thereabout. A businessman was able to now make a lot of contributions and, awards to support teams. You have companies that support sports. But you cannot leave everything for government. We cannot blame government. And that is why the private sector is actually coming in. At the same time, the private sector have their own limitations. So if the government does not give funding, the private sector does not come at the appropriate time, what happens to the team? They come in and then you find individuals making provisions for them, So what kind of performance do you expect from them? You definitely will see this kind of performance. Other teams that came for this tournament, we are camping in faraway Europe and for months. So how do you compare them to people who could not be even in camp, who have not even been sponsored? What do you expect from them? Definitely, we must be able to now stand firm. We must be able to now solicit for support. And that is exactly what we are doing. We are in the ministry today with the president of the African Hockey Federation and some officials to be able to now, we met with the ministry officials headed by the permanent secretary who was representing the minister, who an official engagement took him away. And then they actually played their role towards this hosting of this tournament. So the federation is doing everything humanly possible to bring up these players and support the teams and go to the states, talk to some of these governors one-on-one. And that is what we are doing, because some of them are friends, some of them are one way or the other, you have access to them, and you'll be able to now solicit for their own support. And we hope at the end of the day, and we believe that it's not going to be the same. But you know, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with what? One step or whatever. But at the end of the day, we believe that we are crawling quite okay. But very soon, we are going to be there. And I can tell you that, like what the president of the African Hockey Federation said, he said he's happy and he commends the Nigerian present crop of board, because we have been able to successfully, all our programs from the beginning of the year, we executed them for the past 5 years. We have never failed. How did we go about it? How did we get funding? In some instances, you have to have potholes in you. I mean, your pocket will just run dry, and then you see friends around. But people have been around. If I tell you what is happening with some of the teams here, you imagine, can they even play like this? In fact, you commend them by funding, because virtually almost like no funding. I can tell you categorically, as at our visit today, one of the key things that I would mention to the ministry is to be able to now resurface the turf, to be able to now bring it up to international standard. But if there's anything to say, I can quote the African Hockey Federation president by saying that this speech and everything, it's very okay, very, very okay. But we will need to work more, because the facility is one of the best in Africa. But, you know, he said there's need for more competitions on that. He said the last time he was here was in 2003, All African Games. And when he came, he's now coming back to see the same edifice. And he's shocked that he's still seeing it in that way. So he commends Nigeria and believes he has confidence in Nigeria. And Nigeria will be able to move ahead. And then, in fact, at that instance, he's been able to now even pledge that the African Federation will be able to now give Nigerian Hockey Federation the support towards equipment and some other things.
Thank you very much.